Hello guys, welcome to my channel, .NET Experts. Today we will see like how we can generate a JWT token, and we will see like what's the use of the JWT token. So anyhow, you guys already know like what is a JWT. So it is something like we're going to get a token, and the token which will be used to authenticate your application. So if you just look at this JWT.io, so usually your JWT token will have mainly like three components. What do you can call it? Once you decode it, you can it'll have its own header. It defines whatever algorithm and token type. And the second one, it will have a payload. When I say about the payload, we can just say it will have the sub name and all other related claims, whatever you want to do that. So it will have its own secret key. Using the secret key, it will be your JWT token will get authenticated. That's a very important part of it. So ideally, this is the way your JWT token looks like. So let us do one thing now. So I just created a small application. So which is having a employee controller, which will just give us the list of employee data, and it will have its auth controller. This auth controller is used to get the token. So I will just like I have written a code here, just like will explain you what all these things and what you're trying to achieve here. So for when you're trying to authenticate a user to get a key, so ideally you need a issuer, audience, or key. So here what I've done, usually I just like defined a key, issuer, audience in the app setting JSON. I'm just trying to read it over here through the configuration. So like I don't suggest people to just code and have this like a static kind of key for your production kind of environment or something like that. Just using it for example purpose. uh, so once you have all these three parameters, so ideally you just have to get the signing credentials. Like ideally you'll get going to get the symmetric security key. So that is something what you have to pass it. I'm just like we go to specify what type of security algorithm we're going to use it. So we do have multiple security algorithms. So ideally like I'm just using it HMS CH no 512 signature. This is a security algorithm type. So I'm just using it. We just start looking for that, we'll just start finding different kind of algorithms. So end of the day, I'm just trying to have the subjects are nothing but like it'll have its claims. I can have as many clients as possible. For me there is no like here I just try to create a sub and as well as email. So sub this you can just say that like it refers to constant variable. So just end of the day, you're just trying to assign a username to that. So I'm just trying to read the username and password through the body, and I'm just like trying to validate by only for this email ID. So it's gonna I'm just trying to keep it very as simple as possible. And once that is done, so also you can just go ahead and set a expiry time as well. So I'm just trying to set a expiry time for your generated link, generate JWT key for 10 minutes. So after 10 minutes you should not be able to access it. You can just go ahead and like once you have the token, so once you write this code, so you can just go ahead and start testing that after 10 minutes whether that particular what are the JWT token it's got generated, it's still active or not. So the next point is like you will have a security token descriptor. So the descriptor expects a subject. So subject, as I told, the just adding the claims to that. So the combination of multiple claims, what you can call it. And the next one, what we have, it expires. So the expires, as I said, this is the when you do generate a token. Obviously, just have to go ahead and set a particular expiry time for that. That's what it's trying to take. And when we talk about the issuer, so we have defined an issuer in our app settings.json, and we have also defined the audience. And yes, what are the setting credentials, the object which you got it, we're just trying to pass it here. So these are all the mandatory things which is required for your security token descriptor. So next what we do, we'll just create an object for the token handler, and token handler is ideally going to create a token and by using the token descriptor. So what is the token descriptor? These are all the list of things which is required to get a token descriptor. This is one of the like the basic explanation what you can give it like when interview ask you about the question. So like this is something like you can just at the last what you can do, you can just by using the token handler, what are the object you created token handler, and you can just write down token, and ideally that is going to give you the the JWT token. So what does this write token does? So it serializes a JWT security token into a JWT in compact serialization format. So as you can see here, you are going to get that no JWT in a serialization format. So ideally, this is very small and short one. So people will not be able to explain this properly because of they might have not created any tokens before. So let us do one thing now. I will just try to stop this debugging. I'll just try to launch this application. So when I launch this application, so as I mentioned, I do have a small employee controller, and that's going to give me the list of data. So I just have that URL here. You can just see this is it's running on the port 7187. I'm just trying to get the list of employees. So let me do that. So you can see here, I mean, as of now, I'm not passing any, token to this particular thing, but still I'm able to get the list of employees. So ideally, this is not a good practice. So we should have a proper security implemented for our application. To do that, like let's go ahead and start enabling. So ideally, we have a controller created, auth controller. So ideally, this is going to give me the JWT token. And to do that, actually, so what the basic things what we have to do. So first thing we need to do is like we just have to go ahead and register this odd authentication in the builder.services. So you can see here what we're trying to do. We're just trying to add the authentication, and we are saying like what is the schema of it. It's a JWT bearer defaults and authentication schema, and we are trying to add that JWT bearer token. So when you're sending a request, it expects always a JWT bearer token should be added. So like, and I'm trying to uh, provide the options like if it is required. Any HTTP metadata? No. And yeah, whether you want to store the token on the HTTP request or something like that, I'm just setting it as save token is true. And the next one is I'm trying to validate the parameters, which is provided for the as a JWT token. So what I'm trying to get here, I'm just trying to validate audience, validate issues, what I'm reading here from the configuration, and finally I'm getting the issue signing key, which is mentioned in the configuration things. So ideally, based on these combinations, it is going to just try to do the authentication for your application. And once you added this piece of code, so this is a very important one. The next step, what you have to do, just have to go back and enable this app.use authentication. So this is a very important step. So is it enough? The question is, when can we do have to do anything else? Yes, of course, we just have to go back and add one more thing, authorize. So this is one of the most important attribute. Like we just have to use it when you want to just go ahead and start authorizing your particular controller. So if you have multiple controllers in your application, so if you're not used authorize, so ideally that will not get implemented, and the the whatever the control which you have provided, it can be get executed. Let's go ahead and check it out now. Let's see what happens. Let's go ahead and execute this. I hope it should expect some kind of authentication. And let's try to stop this. I'm just trying to run this. Yeah, the API is up and running. So let me try to execute this, and let's see what happens. Yeah, still I'm able to get the controller because I've not enabled the authorize attribute. So let's go ahead and do this. So to do that, what I will do, I'll just go ahead and add the attribute authorize. So once that is done, let's try to run this. Now what the expectation is, it should not give the results to me. It should give me the the error which I'm expecting. So it should be always 401 unauthorized. So you can see that here, right? So I'm protecting this entire controller now, so nobody can access this controller. So ideally, if they have to access this controller, they should have a valid JWT key token. So let us do that now. So let's try to I'm just sending a similar password and username, whatever has been provided here. So test@email.com, and also you can see a password is a this this kind of small example, you can find it in multiple sites. So I mean, that is the main intention of this video is to, so you, if you go through the videos or if you go through the sites, you will not understand like what they have written. I hope most of the guys will not go ahead and start trying out these things. They will just try to read out and try to remember it whenever the interview asks about it. But instead of that, I suggest you guys just go and just type it down. It will not take much time for you to just write this code and get the output whatever you're expecting it. So let us see that now. I'm going to send a request to this and let us see what happens. So in the body, let us check here. So I'm just, yeah, I'm getting the username and password here. So let us get here. Yeah, yes, it should be equal. So let's try to get in, yeah, get the token here. So let us do one more thing. Let me send the request again. So let's try to debug it one by one. So issuer. So as you can see here, whatever I defined as a issuer, it's coming up here. It's not as the audience as well. So all end of the day, it's all whatever defined in the app setting.json that's coming up. So the signing credentials, you can expect an object. So that's going to give the algorithm what type of algorithm. So as I mentioned, like you're going to get a key out of that as well. So yeah. And the next one is the subject. So as I mentioned, like the claims, whatever you mentioned here, that should be listed down here. And let us go ahead and get the token descriptor. Yeah, token descriptor, how all the properties, whatever is setting it here. And the next one is, let's get back to the token handler, which is responsible for giving the token for us. So you can just see here, it is, when you create a token, it is having some information like you can just see sub, email, and expiry, whatever the things which you provided, algorithm. So it is a combination of all those things. So the next, ideally, the what we have to do is we just have to get the token in a serialized format. So what this write token does, it's going to give the token in this particular format. So you can just see that here. So this is the token we're going to use it. I'm not going to copy it from here. I'm just going to copy it from the Postman itself. So let us do that. So I'm just going to copy this particular JWT token now. And one more thing, let us try. We have to pass it as a bearer token. So I think if you're using Postman, we'll just find a option inside the authorize. So and you can just select a bearer token and you can try to pass the token here. Let us see what happens. Yes, I'm able to access this and I'm able to get the data. So and normal questions, what you can expect. Usually what is a full form of JWT? It's a JSON web tokens. So you can just see that's how the tokens got generated and that's how we used it for our application. And this is very simple as much as possible. And we can just start introducing authorization as well. So authorization in the sense like we can just start putting the like for a certain people, you can just allow them to access it. So that is also a different scenario. So just as of now, just worry about like how we're going to generate a JWT token and how we're going to make our web API as a secured API. So it's a simple and straightforward. And if you guys have any questions or queries on this particular topic, please do let me know. And all the best for your interviews. And thank you so much for listening to this. See you again. Bye bye.